Yeah, we're doing some macro, boys. That was fun. We're not done. Looks like the antenna holder in the back broke a little bit, but it's still usable, still flyable. Welcome to my channel, everybody. This is Life of Acro. I'm Acro Brandon, and this is my life. So this is basically a quick 30-day review of me flying the iFlight Protek 35, and it's been a very interesting and exciting first month. As you saw, there's been a few crashes, but there's been a lot of learning as well. So in this video, I want to cover some of the different things that I've started to understand and learn within this first 30 days, from batteries to the GoPro, the TPU mounts. We had an issue with the controller, right? Flying the drone by itself with all the batteries, conformal coating. I already killed an ESC, so I had to solder that in and put that here. And then the goggles. So if you're new here, feel free to hit the subscribe button. I talk about all sorts of different tech and stuff. But let's get right into it. So this is my first FPV. You can see the unboxing video. I'll put that up here as well. Yeah, so this was the perfect price point. I was looking for a cine, something that was smaller that I could fly at slower speeds, not super acrobatic. However, once you start to get into it, you start to get hungry for more stuff, and I am already ready for another drone, so I need to figure out where I'm going to pony up another $500 and how to make that happen real quick. But where should we start? Let's talk batteries for a hot second. So the first thing I did right off of the bat is I built some 18650s or some 21700s, otherwise known as lithium-ion batteries, because I come from an e-skate background, and I've been building tons of batteries, and I was like, I can do this. I want massive range, except they don't have tons of power output, or the best that it can do is 45 amps. So I did buy some of these other ones off of Amazon as well, including the one that I got off of Get FPV. I will link all of these below. It'll take it to Amazon. You can check it out, and if you buy the stuff, I might actually make a commission to help support the channel, blah, 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 blah. So these two right here are 1800, but they have a couple different form factors. One's more a little skinny and long, and one's more a little bit fat and pudgy, but they have really good output. This is a 2200 because I have range anxiety, which probably comes from e-skate, so I always think bigger is better, but what I'm learning is that the extra weight may not create more flight time. It does, but it doesn't. And then these things are tanks. So as far as these batteries are concerned, I haven't done enough flights on them because it's been cold and crappy out. But I don't feel like I'm getting 15 to 20 minutes of time, or double the time that I would be getting out of one of these right here proportionally. So I don't know if I got a batch of crappy cells, or if I need to learn better throttle control, or if this would work better on a 5-inch versus a 3-inch, because this is weighing this thing down. Right? There's a lot of factors that are happening there. Let's talk about the controller. So the whole DJI setup is working great. It's all the visual clarity I could ever want. I never wanted analog. I didn't want to see that crappy vision. So I waited for the price points to come down and the technology to evolve and get to a point where I was like, okay, I can spend that money. So the first controller that I got died within the first 3 or 4 flights. I think it was just a dud from DJI. But this stick right here, the spring was super shit. So as soon as I would go down for a pitch backwards kind of effect, it would never come back and recenter. So DJI actually did a really amazing job with customer support on taking care of this, and I was probably out of commission 7 to 10 days, but they paid for the shipping label in, they paid for it back out. Customer service was up my ass, calling me, man, like, how can we help you? So 5 out of 5 stars for DJI, especially after spending $1,500 for this whole setup. And that's the biggest part of the investment, is getting the goggles and the controller, in my opinion, even though it does make each drone slightly more expensive because you need an air unit, which is like $185 instead of what you could get with a cheap camera and all of that other stuff. So those are things to keep in mind. But the setup on that was pretty good. The controller, or the goggles, have been amazing. I just took a little bit of Velcro and sticky Velcro and put it to the battery here, and then I have these like Velcro straps that just come with all the different crap that you end up buying. So these didn't cost anything, but you can find these little Velcro straps that are super soft at Walmart for super cheap, and I just loop that around the back and it keeps it from falling down. The micro SD card, you could buy one, but if you're like me, I have tons of these from other pieces of technology. This was a 200 gig one that I had for one of my cell phones, so that was free. That's been really good, and the visual clarity through the goggles here has been amazing since I've been there, right? So we've got all these different batteries. I'm trying out some different ones from 2200 milliamps, and this is supposed to be a Ovonic FPV high discharge 120C. This thing actually does kick ass pretty good. I'm getting about 7-minute flight times out of that, which is amazing. And then I get anywhere from 4.5 to 6 with these 1800 milliamp batteries. Okay, then we've got the GoPro. I've got a GoPro Hero 9. This thing is heavy. I'm not going to get a 10. And 9 times out of 10, I'm always flying the drone with the GoPro on it. So it does fly at its heaviest, and it is a little bit sluggish when I try to do some crazy like punch outs and stuff like that, which is to be expected. And I have yet to go and do a flight recently with just a battery and just that. So we'll look at the weights here in a second, but let's talk about the GoPro case, okay? So after a few crashes, I'm like, maybe I should try and protect this thing. And I see everybody online has this iFlight TPU case, which is pretty flashy. I like it. It's only like 25 bucks, and it's pretty cool. What I don't like about it is that it's really difficult to squeeze your GoPro in and out. And obviously you'll have no access to the back of the screen, right? And then you can get in here on the side to get like change out the batteries and stuff. So maybe if you have a dedicated GoPro that you only want to use for FPV, this might be the choice. But for me, I have to use my GoPro for different things. So I have a different case over here, which is like a vlogging style Ulanzi, which is plastic. They probably weigh around the same, but what's nice is it has the doors that open, so it's easy in and out access, right? And it's on to the side. The problem is that this side door does not make this thing waterproof enough should it fall into water. So for me, if I'm doing regular flights, maybe even some light snow, I will use this. But if there's a chance where I feel like it might fall into the water, even though I'll probably lose the drone and the GoPro, just not going to happen. Although you can also buy this little adapter right here, which is a converter, so you can plug it into the balance leads of your battery, and then it converts it to 5 volts or 9 volts or whatever it needs for the GoPro, and then you plug it into the side so that you can save the weight of a battery to kind of cut down on all the grams that you're carrying. Yeah, so definitely recommend that. But let's see. And then what else? So I had a couple flights. These are going to come up pretty soon. It finally snowed here in coastal Connecticut, and it was amazing out. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go fly, and I need to make sure that I don't crash in snow because moisture is bad, which we'll get to the conformal coating. And I had just a slight shitty landing on a cardboard box, and apparently that teeny bit of moisture must have gotten under here or something, and it fucked up the motor here for the rear left. And it was just wigging out. So I was able to get a replacement all-in-one. This is what we have is an AIO. I'm learning all these cool terms now. An all-in-one controller, which is your flight controller and your ESC built in, and I got it for $100 off of Race Day Quads. Big shout out to them because that thing showed up in like 2.5 days, coast to coast, with first class shipping. I don't know what happened. I got lucky, but thank you because it was just in time because I went up to the mountains. At any rate, so I got into soldering. I mean, I've already been doing soldering. What I will say is that soldering for quads is fast, right? They're small little pads. The iron is hot. The wires are thin as shit. This was very easy compared to some of the stuff that I've had to do. It's a little more arduous. It was E-skate doing like 12 gauge wires and 10 gauge wires and all this kind of stuff. So this was a piece of cake. So there was a light at the end of the tunnel. So on that note, conformal coating, okay, highly recommend it. I'll put that below. And for these ones, it's pretty easy. All you want to do is just make sure that you have the plugs plugged in for the things that you're going to do, so that way you don't glaze over and make sure that the pins don't get here. But for this, since it doesn't have a barometer that you're using, you could just glaze the entire board. I even cracked open the Vista Air unit and glazed all of that with conformal coating. So this thing is now waterproof, and I already know it because it ate shit in the snow again, and it's flying fine. So highly recommend conformal coating. Okay, so let's see where our weights are, and then I'm going to part and I'll take off and I'll show you some of my more recent flights, 1 or 2 of where I'm at. But let's look at some weights here of all this stuff. Okay, oh, actually, let me talk about what's broken so far. Okay, so I had a few crashes. Yeah, all the crashes have been pretty standard, nothing high speed or dropping out of the sky. I mean, I crashed into a branch, which in that last clip, so it broke this little TPU back here, but otherwise is holding really good. It's $10 for a new one from iFlight. I just glued it once. It worked pretty good. I might try and get just maybe a little bit of some fiberglass strips here because I have fiberglass in the garage and kind of put that there to glue it back together. But until the other side breaks, I'm not going to buy another one. One of the other crashes was really weird. It crashed and everything looked okay. And then when I went to go fly it and take off the next time, this front left right here went grrr, boom, and then the prop broke. Really weird. Not only did the prop break, but the motor totally ripped out of all the motor mount screws and this piece fell out. Weird. Yet none of the thread bodies inside the motor are stripped and it's still holding on strong. So I don't know what happened there. That's the only thing I can say that has broken so far. So let's look at some weight real quick. And we'll get right into it. Also, I've been trying out one of these parallel charging boards. You know, everybody says they're a little bit sketchy, and some of them say they're not. I don't know. I closely monitor the batteries because some people say these things burn and all of their things have bloated. So I don't know if there's an actual winner. I'll put a link to this one below. You can be the judge of your own destiny. Yeah, so let's see here. The drone itself, okay, 349 grams. And then here's the GoPro Hero 9, which by itself is 160 with a battery. Okay, so we're up to 508 grams. Then this case, which I prefer, 550 grams. And then let's say the 1800, which I typically fly first, we're at 750 grams. Okay, and then let's just say I do a 2200 milliamp, so another 4 amp hours, or 0.4, 400 milliamps of power. We're at 786, so 36 grams for a little more. And then let's look at one of these tanks, right? We're at 550, it was 786 on the high side, 750, ooh, 857, yeah? So if we look at all of this, right? So like, what are the battery weight difference? A lot of stuff happening here. I'm just kind of all over the place talking numbers, right? So we have our standard 1800, 200 grams. Let's see if this one's the same size for the same thing. 195, so this one's slightly lighter than this one somehow, and has slightly better amp output according to the little sticker here, right? And then we have this one, this is 2200 milliamps, 237 grams, and 308. 308, 237, ooh, almost 70 grams different for a 21700 of the P42's 4 amp hours or 4,000 milliamps, okay? And then let's compare the cases. Here's the TPU case, 24 grams, damn, by 40, okay? So definitely some weight savings here, but I need the in and out. And the only drawback too is that it has a microphone holder for the GoPro. So it does make the GoPro sit up just a little bit higher, but there is convenience. And then let's talk about the battery here, right? Let's see what the quick weight is. I know people have always done this, but the battery, right, a GoPro Hero 9 battery, 33 grams versus 6 grams, right? So there's definitely some weight savings here if you're flying in summer, you're flying in dry environments. I would probably use that if it wasn't winter time right now or as we get into spring. So all of this stuff does weigh it down. It is a little bit sluggish, and like I said, I haven't had an opportunity to fly this thing bare bones with just an 1800 or even with like a slightly smaller battery. So I might buy some slightly smaller batteries like 1600 or 1400s because I've heard you get some pretty good flight times out of them, like less weight, less capacity, but more flight time, all these things, right? So a lot of exciting stuff. I think the next thing I want to buy is a iFlight Nazgul Evoke because that just seems to be the hot thing everybody's raving about. I could probably build one myself, but I'm at this toss-up and I don't quite know. Is bind and fly cheaper than DIY, even though I could DIY it myself? So I think they're probably comparable. I could totally build. I don't worry about the time consumption. So I'll probably have my own DIY build in the near future. But that's where we're at. Enjoy this video right here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And if you have any requests for any other things, don't forget to drop those below. And I'll see you all in another video.
Nobody move, nobody gets hurt.
Okay.